Welcome to the very first episode of Does It Scare, where I show you some spoiler-free gameplay and my first impressions of small indie horror games. Today we're looking at a mascot horror game made by Lights Are Off, and if you didn't know, Lights Are Off makes creepy 3D animations on Instagram and TikTok, and has gained himself quite a following. But recently, he has created his very first horror game called Zoonomaly, and there is a lot to be said on the quality of this game. So with that said, let's get right into it. Now, when you first launch the game, you get this really nice cutscene with some surprisingly good music. Basically, you learn that you were recruited by the Keepers of Blue Morta, or KOB for short. You're told that this zoo has been taken over by monsters from another dimension, called the Blue Morta, and the key to stopping this infestation has been broken into 20 shards and spread out around the zoo by a mysterious person. But not only that, but each shard has a puzzle around it, making it even harder to get to them. And that's where the Bloomabank comes in, a weapon that will become very useful to you throughout the game. It has the ability to propel objects, stun monsters, and track where the shards are located, as well as the Blue Mortas themselves. And after this cutscene, you are placed into the tutorial. It's nice and short, but very effective at teaching you all the basics for playing this game. The first thing that stood out to me as unique is how you use the environmental lighting to reload your weapon. That's right, the Bloomabank uses light bulbs as ammo, forcing you to always find lights throughout the map. You can hold a total of 5 light bulbs at a time, and later on you'll also find an upgrade that allows you to teleport, but it's only so helpful since it involves sacrificing some of your light bulbs. You'll also find that you're able to see certain clues on your weapon, as well as knocking over planks and launching yourself with them to other platforms. Overall, I really like the created game mechanics. It's something I think everyone could enjoy if it worked properly. When you finish the tutorial, you are dropped at the entrance of Zoonomaly and are free to roam around the zoo at your own pace. And the very first thing I noticed was the huge frame drop. My computer is certainly not a high-end PC, but it shouldn't be struggling this much to play a game like this. Even on medium, it struggles to keep a consistent 60 FPS, often dropping to 30. I have a feeling this game isn't optimized very well, and you aren't given a lot of settings either, just VSync, resolution, and some other basic controls. Hopefully this will be fixed soon, but back to the game. Once you're out of the tutorial, this is when you get to experience the puzzles in the game. And the experience is very, very frustrating. It's not so bad with the smaller ones, like finding a key to a cage, going through a maze, or finding the right lever to gain access somewhere, but when you have these huge complex puzzles, it's an ungodly experience. First off, you can't see the whole puzzle very clearly because it's dark. And even when using the Bloomabank, it's still hard to see everything clearly. Trying to find which plank launches you where and where you go from that plank to that plank and then to that other plank, it's just a pain, and the only way to really solve it is through trial and error. The best way to explain it is it's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle in the dark. It just doesn't work. And once I started doing a couple of these puzzles, I realized it's really more about trial and error more than actually solving it. There's not enough hints given to the player, and that made it very frustrating. Now, I think this wouldn't have been so bad if it weren't for the glitches with the planks themselves. Doing some of these puzzles takes a lot longer than it should because even if you line yourself perfectly on the X, you won't always land in the right area. Or worse, will glitch on top of the plank when it goes up, forcing you to do the whole puzzle all over again, and to pray that you don't encounter another bug. I wouldn't mind this so much if it was rare, but it happens a lot, and this is a huge problem that needs to be fixed, especially since a lot of these puzzles are using the plank mechanics. And this isn't the only bug either. The save zones are one of the buggiest aspects of this game. These save zones are marked with little green flags and act as checkpoints for when you die. But the problem is they're all so small that when the monsters are nearby, they camp the safe zone, and sometimes even loop you in an infinite jump scare. Now, it's not so bad when you have leftover ammo to stun them, but you're screwed if you don't have anything left. You're stuck. And if you try and exit to the menu and reload the game out of hopes of fixing the problem, you'll find that the game doesn't save at these checkpoints and that you're supposed to save manually, which the game never tells you, by the way. I mean, I'll go to menu, maybe I can load it and it'll work. I lost all the progress from the last. Oh! Oh my god! I was at 16. I was at 16, now I'm back at 9. I'm back at 9. I've never been so angry at a game before. Oh my god, and I don't even remember how to do this. I lost a whole hour and a half because of this bug alone. And the first time I played this game, I had to actually start over because I got stuck between a monster and a safe zone. So that's a huge game-breaking bug that still needs to be fixed. But I kept going and I finally finished the game, and to be honest, the end was kinda disappointing. I put so much time into the game, I was hoping for a more cinematic cutscene and maybe a tease to something else, you know? But to keep it spoiler-free, it's very similar to the opening cutscene, and it's just a quick congratulations before bringing you back to the menu. Now, I haven't talked too much about the monsters yet, but I have a feeling this game is meant for a younger audience, which is totally fine. I think the monsters are scary enough to make it a fun experience if the game worked as intended. That, along with how fluid the animations are, which is no surprise knowing the creator specializes in 3D animation, it's all designed really well. I do think the monsters need to be nerfed a bit. Stunning the monsters with your weapon doesn't last nearly as long as it should, and the combination with most of them running faster than you, and the charge of the weapon taking so long, makes it almost impossible to escape them. Your best bet is going to a safe zone and waiting for them to leave. It makes it really hard to take the game seriously when you're constantly getting jump scared because the game is at fault. But moving on, the environments were colorful and creepy, and it was genuinely fun going around the zoo and seeing all these different types of monsters. The designs were interesting and creepy looking, and there's some fun to be had here. I can tell an attempt was made. But unfortunately, the good just doesn't outweigh the bad here. The gameplay is so broken and buggy that I just can't recommend this game. Just because your game is meant for a younger audience doesn't mean it's acceptable to release a buggy game. Right now, the Zoonomaly experience is filled with frustrating gameplay and monsters that don't do a good job at creating tension. And that's a bad formula if you want a scary horror game. So because of that, Zoonomaly does not scare. For anyone interested in this game, I highly suggest waiting and keeping a lookout for bug fixes from the creator, or waiting for when it's on sale so you get your money's worth. But with that said, if there's an indie horror game that you want me to review, leave it down in the comments below, and make sure to stab the bell icon so you don't miss out on future reviews like this one. All that said, see you next time.